It's time to debunk the myths and understand the reality of this condition. Greetings everyone. Today, we will explore the origins of AIDS, its history, and the misconceptions surrounding it. We will delve into how AIDS was initially linked to homosexuality and labeled as a gay cancer, and how this perception changed over time. We will also discuss the modes of transmission, the symptoms, and the advancements in medical science that have transformed HIV infection from a death sentence to a manageable chronic condition. If you find this video interesting, please support us by hitting the like button. Now, let's get started. Many are under the impression that AIDS is transmitted by monkeys and chimpanzees. It is often said that AIDS originated when humans came into contact with infected chimpanzees, which is not completely wrong, but it is a bit of an under-explanation. In addition to animal contact, it is also possible for people to become infected through physical contact with chimpanzees during capture and slaughter. An international research team led by Dr. Beatrice Hahn of the University of Alabama claimed that AIDS originated in monkeys and chimpanzees. And they found that wild chimpanzees in southern Cameroon, Africa, carry the virus, believed to be the precursor to HIV. The findings, published in the journal Science, suggest that the AIDS virus was transmitted by Cameroonians in the past, when they captured chimpanzees and wounded them during the meat processing process. In the West, influenced strongly by Christianity, there was a widespread misconception that AIDS primarily affected homosexuals. It was erroneously labeled as a gay cancer, and was misconstrued as a divine punishment for homosexuality. Here is a brief explanation of HIV and AIDS. HIV infection does not AIDS. AIDS stands for Acquired Immunodeficiency Syndrome, while HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. While HIV is the virus, AIDS describes the condition that arises when someone with HIV experiences a significant loss of CD4 cells, or develops certain opportunistic infections due to a weakened immune system. Also, a person infected with HIV is not said to have AIDS unless he or she develops one of the diseases. Although AIDS seems to have existed since ancient times, it actually has a surprisingly short history, with AIDS estimated to have existed since the 1930s and becoming generally known only in 1981. AIDS was first made known on June 5, 1981, in a weekly report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, where the CDC found unusual cases of immune cell damage in 5 sexually active individuals with symptoms of pneumonia, 2 of whom had already died. The common denominator of these patients was that they developed pneumonia due to compromised immunity caused by HIV infection. Furthermore, they were all reported to be homosexual. Because the first reported AIDS patients in the U.S. were men who identified as homosexual, they were heavily discriminated against by the public, and AIDS was wrongly referred to as the gay cancer. However, the perception at the time was that it was a disease that could only be contracted by homosexuals, and it was not widely discussed. However, in 1985, when Hollywood star Rock Hudson confessed to having AIDS, the public perception of the disease changed dramatically. That same year, he died a debilitating death from complications from AIDS, and in 1991, professional basketball player Magic Johnson also retired because of HIV infection. This revelation underscored the fact that HIV does not discriminate anyone, regardless of health status or sexual orientation, can contract the virus. In addition, celebrities from around the world, including philosopher Michel Foucault, ballet prodigy Rudolf Nureyev, and Freddie Mercury, vocalist for the legendary rock band Queen, died of AIDS, and even in those early days, more than 80% of AIDS patients lost their lives, establishing AIDS as a disease that could affect anyone, regardless of age or gender, and reinforcing its reputation as a formidable and indiscriminate condition. And being diagnosed with HIV was often perceived as receiving a death sentence. Unfounded rumors and misconceptions spread and fear pervaded society, and this led to tragedy. Many tragic incidents occurred. A person who contracted HIV through a blood transfusion took his own life. A teacher, fearing he had contracted HIV, ended his own life. A woman, misunderstanding her symptoms, as those of AIDS, tragically ended her and her child's lives. Unfortunately, most of those who took their own lives out of fear of AIDS were not HIV infected. Ignorance and misunderstanding of AIDS have caused many tragedies. The main sources of HIV infection are semen, vaginal secretions, blood, and breast milk, and the three main routes of transmission are sexual transmission, transmission through blood, and mother-to-child transmission. There are also several misconceptions about how HIV is transmitted. But HIV cannot be transmitted by shaking hands, hugging, kissing, sneezing, sharing toilets, sharing dishes, etc., or through other contact. Currently, the largest percentage of HIV transmission routes is through sexual activity. It is estimated that 80% of the world's HIV cases are sexually transmitted. Because of the development of hygienic medicine, the likelihood of contracting HIV through other means is significantly reduced, with the primary risk being unprotected sexual intercourse. In fact, the risk of contracting HIV from a single sexual act is generally low. But certain behaviors and practices can increase this risk. In most cases, HIV is transmitted through the bloodstream. Some individuals, regardless of their sexual orientation, may engage in anal intercourse. Given the thin skin of the anus, which is prone to tearing, there's a heightened risk of HIV transmission to the mucous membranes and wounds of the partner. However, HIV itself is a very weak virus, so there is no risk of transmission through casual, non-sexual contact in daily life. Some people worry about the possibility of transmission by mosquitoes, but the diseases transmitted by mosquitoes are limited to malaria and dengue fever. And HIV is not transmitted by mosquitoes. However, situations in which an infected person's blood enters a wound should be avoided. Although the common belief used to be that people with AIDS would suffer from all the symptoms and eventually die, HIV infection is now considered a manageable chronic condition rather than an invariably fatal disease. In the early stages of HIV infection, HIV begins to proliferate rapidly in the body and CD4-positive lymphocytes, which play a key role in the immune system, are destroyed. During this period, symptoms similar to those of a cold or flu, such as fever, sore throat, lethargy, and diarrhea, may occur, as well as muscle aches and skin rashes. However, symptoms disappear within a few weeks, followed by a symptom-free period of 5 to 10 years. Even during the symptom-free period, HIV continues to multiply in the body. If immunity diminishes, symptoms like night sweats, persistent diarrhea, and unexplained rapid weight loss can manifest. Then, if time passes without treatment, the disease progresses to AIDS, and due to the weakened immune system, various diseases that a healthy person would not be infected with can occur concurrently. Currently, there is no treatment that can completely eliminate HIV from the body. But with antiretroviral therapy suppressing the virus's growth and preventing the onset of AIDS, people can maintain their health and lead normal lives for extended periods. And their life expectancy can be comparable to those without HIV. Of course, there are some precautions that must be taken, because the possibility of transmitting HIV to other people is not zero. But it does not interfere with daily life. AIDS is certainly a disease to be aware of, but we should not be prejudiced or held captive by vague fears. This concludes our discussion on AIDS, a disease that has instigated widespread fear and misconceptions in our society. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more insightful content. Take care and see you in the next video. Goodbye.